Shalom, shalom, everybody. I want to welcome you to Torah is for Everyone. I love doing this program, and I'm hoping that the people who are watching this get as much out of it as we do as we're reading it. So without further ado, we're going to take a look at the Safari, which is Safaria, and we're going to read today Balak. You want to begin, Miriam?
Okay. Balak, son of Zippor, saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites. Moab was alarmed because that people was so numerous. Moab dreaded the Israelites. And Moab said to the elders of Midian, "Now this horde will lick clean all that is about us, as an ox licks up the grass of the field." Balak, son of Zippor, who was king of Moab at that time, sent messages to Balaam, son of Beor in Petor, which is by the Euphrates, in the land of his kinfolk, to invite him, saying, "There is a people that came out of Egypt. It hides the earth from view, and it is settled next to me."
Okay, so let's just look at a little background here. If we go the end of the last parasha, the Israelites had been fighting with different groups. Wherever they went, they asked to be let through, and nobody wanted to let them through, so I had to go around. They weren't, and they had a lot of battles. Now they're across the Jordan from Jericho. So just across the Jordan, they're right at the place which today, believe it or not, is West Central Jordan, which is only a 45-minute drive to Jerusalem from here. So they were right on the border. And Balak was the king. And he was scared to death because he had heard everything that from the time they left Egypt, which was 40 years before. That's how news traveled in the Middle East. So he was scared to death. Now, Moab was a relative. Remember, these are all relatives. The Amorites are all relatives because the people were so numerous. They were between 3 million to 6 million people. And look what he says, this horde will lick clean all that is about us. As an ox, he had good reason to be scared. Okay. So he says, and this horde of people is hiding the earth from view. That's how many there were. Go ahead.
"Come then, put a curse upon this people for me, since they are too numerous for me. Perhaps I can thus defeat them and drive them out of the land. For I know that whomever you bless is blessed indeed, and whomever you curse is cursed." It's amazing that he says that.
Well, exactly. But Bilam had a reputation. He was a diviner, okay? And he did speak to God. You'll see later on. But why didn't Balak just take his army? He was a powerful king. They had lots of money. They were not few. He had people behind him. But instead he goes to Bilam and say, let me see, does it say here? Yeah, look what he said. Moab said to the elders of Midian. Midian was right next door to Moab. Midian was a relative of Moses through the wife Zipporah. This was a family business. But they were joining forces. The elders of Midian had what they call an understanding of God. Remember what happened when Moses went up to Mount Sinai? His father-in-law, Yitro, was right there. He knew that God spoke to Moses in the burning bush. And all the people in that whole area called the mountain, this is the mountain of God. Even to this day, if you go to that area, it is the mountain of God. I think it's Saudi now, but that whole area they know. So they're all joining together. They had a big army. They could have fought them. But he knows, see, they understand the spiritual world more than we do here in the West. And he understood that it's a spiritual battle. And he said, put a curse on them. And this didn't guarantee, because it says, maybe, ulai, maybe I can defeat them and drive them out. And he had the reputation, Bilam, that when he said a blessing, he was blessed because he did listen to God. Okay, here, continue.
The elders of Moab and the elders of Midian, versed in divination, set out. They came to Balaam and gave him Balak's message. He said to them, spend the night here, and I shall reply to you as God may instruct me. So the Moabite dignitaries stayed with Balaam.
So here, look what it says. So here it says versed in divination. So these were spiritists. They had the spiritual nature, just like us in the New Age. Okay?
Yeah.
And then he said to them, spend the night here, and I shall reply to you as Yud He Vav He may instruct me. So our God, the God of Israel, the one creator, Yud He Vav He, spoke to Balaam. He wasn't speaking to other gods. I shall reply to you as God may instruct me. So they stayed, the dignitaries stayed with Balaam. Okay.
God came to Balaam and said, what do these men want of you? Balaam said to God, Balak, son of Zippor, king of Moab, sent me this message. Here is a people that came out from Egypt and hides the earth from view. Come now and curse them for me. Perhaps I can engage them in battle and drive them off.
You know, it's interesting. Whenever God never comes to accuse. He knew who Balaam was. He knew it was going to happen. And he didn't say, the first thing he questioned is, what do these men want from you? It's like right at the beginning of Adam. Adam, where are you? He wants us to admit who we are, what we're about to do. Okay, here's a people. Come now and curse them. So he's admitting what they said.
Right.
And here's what God says.
But God said to Balaam, do not go with them. You must not curse that people, for they are blessed. Balaam arose in the morning and said to Balak's dignitaries, go back to your own country, for God will not let me go with you.
Yud He Vav He.
Yud He Vav He.
Yeah, this is the God. There's no other gods. Remember, they were living at a time when, even now there are countries who their leaders are considered gods. If you go to North Korea, that man is considered divine. All throughout our histories, we've had people who are considered divine, but especially at that time, the Pharaoh was considered divine. They have divine attributes, but it's very specific. Yud He Vav He, the creator of the universe, will not let me go with you.
The Moabite dignitaries left, and they came to Balak and said, Balaam refused to come with us. Then Balak sent other dignitaries, more numerous and distinguished than the first.
He wasn't giving up. He wasn't going to let Balaam get away with this.
They came to Balaam and said to him, thus says Balak, son of Zippor, please do not refuse to come to me. I will reward you richly, and I will do anything you ask of me. Only come and damn this people for me. Balaam replied to Balak's officials, though Balak were to give me his house full of silver and gold, I could not do anything, big or little, contrary to the command of my God, Yud He Vav He. But that's amazing. It doesn't sound like, even though...
Yeah, but look what he says next.
So you too stay here overnight and let me find out what else Yud He Vav He may say to me.
You understand what he's doing? Remember last week, the whole idea of the snake with a forked tongue speaking out of your mouth?
Yeah.
On one hand, he says, Even if Balak was to give me everything, all his house full of silver and gold, I can't do anything. But stay here. You know what? Let me find. Maybe God will change his mind. Let me talk to him.
It's true. What else God may do? Yeah.
Exactly. It's so funny.
That night, God came to Balaam and said to him, "If the agents have come to invite you, you may go with them. But whatever I command you, that you shall do."
So God was merciful to him. He didn't wipe him out immediately. He's it's like I remember our rabbi would say, you give somebody enough rope and they will always hang themselves.
Right. When he rose in the morning, Balaam saddled his donkey and departed with the Moabite dignitaries. But God was incensed at his going, so a messenger of Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh took a position in his way as an adversary. He was riding on his she-donkey with his 2 servants alongside. When the donkey caught sight of the messenger of Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh standing in the way with his drawn sword in his hand, the donkey swerved from the road and went into the fields, and Balaam beat the donkey to turn her back onto the road. The messenger of Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh then stationed himself in a lane between the vineyards and a fence on either side. The donkey, seeing the messenger of Adonai, pressed herself against the wall and squeezed Balaam's foot against the wall, so he beat her again. Poor donkey.
Yes,
Animals sometimes see more than we do.
exactly.
I told you this dog story anyway, but they see.
Yeah.
Once more, the messenger of Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh moved forward and stationed himself on a spot so narrow that there was no room to swerve right or left. When the donkey now saw the messenger of Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, she lay down under Balaam, and Balaam was furious and beat the donkey with his stick. Then Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh opened the donkey's mouth, and she said to Balaam, "What have I done to you that you have beaten me these 3 times?" Balaam said to the donkey, "You have made a mockery of me. If I had a sword with me, I'd kill you." The donkey said to Balaam, "Look, I am the donkey that you have been riding all along until this day. Have I been in the habit of doing thus to you?" And he answered, "No."
You know, it's interesting that it didn't even faze him. And Ortiz said, wait, is a donkey talking to me? He just answered him. Do you see that?
Was
Well, here it says the donkey talks to him. The Lord opened the donkey's mouth, and she said to Balaam, "What have I done to you that you've beaten me these times?" At this point, I mean, if you had a donkey and the donkey started talking to you, wouldn't you have been surprised?
Yeah. Well, maybe. Well, think of it. The whole thing here is not ordinary. So,
But exactly, that's extremely why. Exactly why. But instead, Balak said, "If I had a sword with me, I'd kill you." Instead of saying, "Wow, you talked."
yeah,
That's
no, yeah,
something
how
to
could he
me.
not see that this is from a
Unless he talked to animals before, who knows? Okay.
Thus Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh uncovered Balaam's eyes, and he saw the messenger of Adonai standing in the way, his drawn sword in his hand. Thereupon he bowed right down to the ground.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I'm not so sure what it is because I didn't know. But yagal. Let me look and see what that word is. Yagal. Yeah, remove remove the veil. Remember we used to pray that God would remove the veil from our eyes
Oh, yes,
so we could see into the spiritual realm.
right.
Hang on, oh my goodness. Whenever I look, I lose it again here. Sorry. Okay, so he lifted the veil, he uncovered Bilam's eyes, and he saw the angel. It says messenger, but it's most probably was an angel of God standing in the way. Okay.
It's amazing because Balaam is very gifted to be able to see these things,
Yeah.
yet he still doesn't turn to the only God.
Because I don't think it's his gift. It's God who does it.
No, but it's always God. But God gives this kind of eye-opening thing to be blessed to have that,
Yes.
and still not choose to go with God.
Which shows you how strong our freedom of choice is, our free will that God gave us.
Yeah.
And I talk about that actually in the message coming this coming Shabbat, because everybody does have a choice. God calls us all. Why some see and some don't? Why some have a desire and some don't? I don't know. Okay.
Okay. The messenger of Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh said to him, "Why have you beaten your donkey these 3 times? It is I who came out as an adversary, for the errand is obnoxious to me." And when the donkey saw me, she shied away because of me those 3 times. If she had not shied away from me, you are the one I should have killed while sparing her.
Wow.
Balaam said to the messenger of Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, "I cried because I did not
No,
know."
I
Oh,
erred.
sorry, oh, my eyes, okay. "I erred because I did not know that you were standing in my way. If you still disapprove, I will turn back." But the messenger of Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh said to Balaam, "Go with the men, but you must say nothing except what I tell you." So Balaam went on with Balak's dignitaries. When Balak heard that Balaam was coming, he went out to meet him at Ir Moab, which is on the Arnon border at its farthest point. Balak said to Balaam, "When I first sent to invite you, why didn't you come to me? Am I really unable to reward you?" But Balaam said to Balak, "And now that I've come to you, have I the power to speak freely? I can utter only the word that God puts into my mouth." Balaam went with Balak, and they came to Kiryat Huzot. Balak sacrificed oxen and sheep and had them served to Balaam and the dignitaries with him.
It's interesting because we're going to read again where he sacrificed oxen and sheep and he put them on altars later on. It's going to say 7 bulls and 7 sheep, and he put them on, he sacrificed them on 7 altars. And in Micah, which is the Haftarah portion, when we read it on Shabbat, you'll see that it's going to say, does God want our sacrifices? Is he looking for us to sacrifice all these animals? It's not what he wants.
Right.
And here, this Balak, who is really a false prophet, he's a prophet of God who's a disobedient prophet, is a prophet for hire. He sacrificed these animals.
In the morning, Balak took Balaam up to Barmot Baal. From there, he could see a portion of the people. Balaam said to Balak, "Build me 7 altars here, and have 7 bulls and 7 rams ready here for me." Balak did as Balaam directed, and Balak and Balaam offered up a bull and a ram on each altar.
You wonder why Balak is doing this. He doesn't know Torah. He doesn't know the God of Israel. But I guess it's as much a pagan practice to offer up animals.
Yeah, that's what it is, a pagan. They saw that in Egypt. They saw that,
Exactly.
it's the attitude and what they believe they're doing.
Which is why, to me, it is such a mystery that our people believe, the Orthodox believe, that they want to rebuild the temple and reinstitute the sacrificial system.
I guess because when you look at it, if you just open up the Torah and start reading it, it's it's not clear that the sacrificial, when it says it's to make expiation, it looks like it's that having obedience to do that act is you know, spurs God's forgiveness or whatever. God uses that as a way of forgiveness. So it's hard
Except,
to
yeah, except that today we have the ability to see in hindsight. We have the prophets. We have all the experiences of all the disobedience and all the things that God says, I'm tired of your sacrifices.
yeah,
I'm tired of-"
that's true.
Yeah, we don't have just this Torah. We have all of it. So, yeah.
Well, but you know the in the ultra orthodox when they what's it called when they swing the chicken they make that sacrifice Kippur.
Shlokipora, yeah, Shlokipora.
Yeah, so there's still a lot of that belief in most religious systems
Exactly,
that there needs to be some sort of sacrifice.
exactly.
Uh,
Okay, so read this again. Then Balaam.
then Balaam said to Balak, "Stay here beside your offerings while I am gone. Perhaps Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh will grant me a manifestation, and whatever is revealed to me, I will tell you." And he went off alone. God became manifest to Balaam, who stated, "I have set up the 7 altars and offered up a bull and a ram on each altar." And Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh put a word in Balaam's mouth and said, "Return to Balak and speak thus." So he returned to him and found him standing beside his offerings and all the Moabite dignitaries with him. He took up his what's that theme?
Let me read it. He took up this theme and said,
Theme? Okay, sorry, what is that? I guess.
theme. It's a theme. This is going to be a poem. He's going to
Oh,
say,
okay.
from Aram has Balak brought me, Moab's king from the hills of the east. Come, curse me, Jacob. Come, tell Israel's doom. How can I curse whom God has not cursed? How can I doom when Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh has not doomed? As I see them from the mountaintops and gaze on them from the heights, there is a people that dwells apart, not reckoned among the nations. So here he's talking about these Israelites. We are a separate people. We were always meant to be. We're not counted among the nations because God set us apart. Who can count the dust of Jacob? That was one of the prophecies. You will be like the dust of the earth. Number the dust cloud of Israel. May I die the death of the upright. May my fate be like theirs. Then Balak said, it's interesting that he said that. Then Balak said to Balaam, what have you done to me? Here I brought you to curse my enemies, and instead you blessed them. And he replied, I can only repeat faithfully what God puts in my mouth. Then Balak said to him, come with me to another place from which you can see them. You will see only a portion of them. You will not see all of them, and curse them for me from there. With that, he took him to Sedet Sophim on the summit of Pisgah.
Sorry, what's interesting here
Yeah,
is that if Balaam really, really wanted to follow the only true God, who here is not even allowing the words to come to his mouth, if he really believed what God was saying, that he can't, that he can't curse them, he wouldn't, like now they're saying, I want to take you to this other place. He would have
exactly.
said, I'm no, I'm not gonna go.
Exactly. But here Balaam said to Balak, stay here beside your offerings while I see he's seeking another manifestation where God will reveal himself. And God again became manifest to Balaam and put a word in his mouth saying, return to Balak, and this is what you're going to say to him. He went with him and found him standing beside his offering, and the Moabite dignitaries with him. Balak asked him, what did Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh say? He knew. And he took up this theme and said, Get up, Balak, and listen. Give ear to me, son of Zippor. God is not human to be capricious, or mortal to have a change of heart. Would God speak and not act, promise and not fulfill? Remember, God is putting these words into Bilam's mouth. It's like he's channeling God.
Right.
My message was to bless. When God blesses, I can't reverse it. No harm. This is prophecy. No harm is in sight for Jacob. No woe in view for Israel, for their God, Yud He Vav He, is with him, and their king's acclaim in their midst. The king's acclaim is looking forward to King David. God, who freed them from Egypt, is for them like the horns of the wild ox. There is no augury, which is divination, like seeing, speaking to the spirits in Jacob. No divination in Israel. God is told at once, yes, Israel, what God has planned. Now I love this. Look at this is being fulfilled this very day. Lo, a people that arises like a lioness and leaps up like a lion, rises up like a lion. And what was this last, um, what do you call it? Israel had a plan to go against um, Iran, and he called it the rising lion. This was
Wow.
the last. Oh, what's it called? My mind is when you make a plan to go and attack. It's anyway. It doesn't matter.
Strategy.
Well, yeah, it's not. But I'll say it on Saturday
Okay.
anyway. Thereupon Balak said to Bilam, "Don't curse them and don't bless them." In reply, Balaam said to Balak, "But I told you, whatever Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh says, I must do." Then Balak said to Balaam, "Come now, I'll take you to another place. Perhaps God will deem it right that you damn them for me there." And Balak took Balaam to the peak of Peor, how many times, which overlooks the wasteland. And Balaam said to Balak, "Build me here 7 altars. Have 7 bulls and 7 rams ready for me again. Here." Balak did as Balaam said. He offered up a bull and a ram on each altar. Now Balaam, seeing that it pleased Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh to bless Israel, did not, as previous occasions, go in search of omens, but turned his face toward the wilderness. As Balaam looked up, and Israel encamped tribe by tribe, the Spirit of God came upon him. Imagine, he's looking over the camps and all their tents. Taking up this theme, he said, "The word of Balaam, son of Beor, the word of man whose eye is true, the word of one who hears God's speech, who beholds visions from the Almighty, prostrate, but with eyes unveiled." And this is what we sing every Shabbat. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, mishkanotecha Israel. This came from Bilam, and we say it in our synagogues every year, every Shabbat.
Amazing. It comes from from him.
Exactly, it's amazing. Like palm groves that stretch out, like gardens beside a river, like aloes planted by Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, like cedars beside the waters. Their boughs drip with moisture, their roots have abundant water. Their ruler shall rise above Agag. They haven't risen above Agag yet, but they will. We're still fighting Agag. Their sovereignty shall be exalted. The God who freed them from Egypt is for them like the horns of the wild ox. They shall devour enemy nations, crush their bones, and smash their arrows. Here, one of the things, it says break their bones. It has to do with warfare, with defeating the enemy. They crouch, they lie down like a lion, like a lioness who dares rouse them. Blessed are they who bless you, and cursed are they who curse you. Enraged at Balaam, Balak struck his hands together. "I called you," Balak said to Balaam, "to damn my enemies, and instead you have blessed them these 3 times. Get back. Go to your own place. I was going to reward you richly, but Yud-Heh-Vav has denied you the reward. Balaam replied to Balak, but I even told the messengers you sent to me. Even if Balak were to give me his house full of silver and gold, I could not of my own accord do anything good or bad, contrary to God's commands. What Yud-Heh-Vav says, that I must say. And now as I go back to my people, let me inform you of what this people will do to your people in days to come. So God is using him to give us a picture of future times. You know, we hear a lot of that we're in the end times, that the rapture, the Christians say the rapture's coming, we're in the end times. And this is what God says. The word of Balaam, son of Beor, word of the man whose eye is true, word of one who hears God's voice, who obtains knowledge from the Most High, and beholds visions from the Almighty, prostrate, but with eyes unveiled. What I see for them is not yet. What I behold will not be soon. A star rises from Jacob. A scepter comes forth from Israel. It smashes the brow of Moab, the foundation of all of Seth, the children of Seth, which is all humanity. This was the child that was born of Adam and Eve. Edom, who was Esau, becomes a possession. He lived in Seir, the mountain, a possession of its enemies. But Israel is triumphant. A victor issues from Jacob to wipe out what is left of Ir. By the way, the star that rises from Jacob, some say that it is King David, others say that it's the Messiah. But we know that there's a future time coming when all these nations will be smashed down, and a victor issues from Jacob to wipe out what is left of Ir, or of the city. He saw Amalek, our first enemy when we left Egypt, and taking up this theme, he said, a leading nation is Amalek, but its fate is to perish forever. One day this will happen. He saw the Keni, and taking up his theme, he said, though your abode be secure and your nest be set among the cliffs, yet shall Cain be consumed. Cain is the picture of the traveling enemy, of those who travel. Let's see what it says here. The Kenites mentioned in verse 21. I guess the Kenites come from Cain. When Assyria takes you captive, he took up this theme and said, alas, who can survive except God has willed it? No one. We don't have to worry, because unless God wills it, no one can touch us. Ships come from the quarter of Kittim. They subject Assyria, subject Ever. That's where Abraham left. They too shall perish. Then Balaam set out on his journey back home, and Balak also went his way. Now, from there, we're going to have an understanding of what happened next, because Balaam could not curse them. But remember, he had another way of getting Israel to be defeated. While Israel was staying at Shittim, the men profaned themselves by whoring with the Moabite women, who invited the men to the sacrifices for their God. The men partook of them and worshipped that God. Thus, Israel attached itself to Baal Peor. That was the gods that Balaam and Balak worshipped. And the Lord was incensed with Israel. And the Lord said to Moses, take all the ringleaders and have them publicly impaled before the Lord, so that his wrath may turn away from Israel. So Moses said to Israel's official, each of you slay those of his men who've attached themselves to Baal Peor. But it says, just then, a certain Israelite man came and brought a Midianite woman over to his companions in the sight of Moses and of the whole Israelite community, who were weeping at the entrance of the tent of meeting. When Pinchas, the son of Eleazar, son of Aaron the priest, saw this, he left the assembly, and taking a spear in his hand, he followed the Israelite man into the chamber and stabbed both of them, the Israelite man and the woman, through the belly. Then the plague against the Israelites was checked. Those who died of the plague numbered 24,000. So at this point, Moses didn't make sure that those who he said to impale all those leaders, he didn't follow through. He was tired. And that's why these two people were allowed to get away with what they did. The Midianite woman and the Israelite man. And Pinchas, who was the son of, I think he was Aaron's son. No,
Of Eleazar.
Eleazar's son. He was his grandson. He
But
took
what
it-
did you just say? Moses didn't follow through?
No, because if he had really followed through, he was tired at this point. I remember Rabbi was talking about this. If he had followed through and impaled all those leaders, this
Oh, the
young
ones who was the Moabite women.
yeah, he would.
Okay.
But instead, with arrogance,
There
he
was a plague
woman,
that
and a plague broke out. And it wasn't 3,000 like when they came down from Mount Sinai, when they were worshiping the golden calf. And it wasn't like the 14,000 we read last week. This time it's 24,000. And Pinchas took it upon himself to stop this plague. And we wonder, how does this relate to us today? Because we can't be a Pinchas. We can't be going around killing everybody who's disobedient, because we'd have to kill half the population of Israel, if not more. When it talked about, it's like we see so many of our young Jewish men who are not interested in the Torah, other than the Orthodox. I'm not talking about them, but the secular Jews. How many are marrying Gentile women and completely leaving everything behind?
well, it's not about Gentile.
I was just going to say that.
Okay.
Not about Gentile, because of Ruth. We have a Ruth.
Marrying ungodly women who don't care about the Torah or about God.
Exactly. Drawing the men away to their gods. You see a lot of that happening today. And a lot of that happened before the last war. A lot of that happened at the time before the Maccabees. This is not new in our history. We don't look at the reasons that God gets upset with us. We just get upset that God is upset, and how he can allow these terrible things to happen. But he's trying to show us here in these stories in the Torah, we better wake up. And I don't know how this message is going to get out for us to wake up, because we do know at one point, just like these prophecies say, Amalekites will be gone. But the difference excuse me, 1 second. Let me put this on pause.
Just plugged it in.
So where was I?
You said the one difference.
There's a difference between God punishing our enemies for coming against us and us suffering the consequences of our disobedience. God isn't punishing us. He's allowing us to suffer the consequences for what we've done wrong. It's like when you have a child and the child just keeps going against everything that you say. When we tell him don't do that and he does it, at a certain point we're just going to say, okay, you want to do it, you're going to suffer the consequences. But when our enemy comes against his chosen people, he goes to war. the lion rises up and he goes to war for us. So I want to wish you a good evening.
Good
Hello,
evening.
Jerry, and goodbye, Jerry.
Hi, Jerry. Goodbye, Jerry.